Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Turn straight my shirt. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this channel, please push like and share it with your family, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. John Greschner. For those of you who do not know the name John Greschner, you probably don't watch this channel or prison genre stuff. John Greschner is a 74-year-old man who has been in PC for more than almost 30 years, I guess you'd say. He was a former member of the Aryan Brotherhood, who then became, in the federal system, who then became one of the founders of what's called the Commission. It's a governing body of the Aryan Brotherhood members inside the federal system who are aligned or loosely aligned with members of the Aryan Brotherhood in California. In a nutshell, members of the Aryan Brotherhood was founded in California. Some members of the Aryan Brotherhood later went out and caught federal crimes or were transferred into the feds or whatever, and started their own faction of the Aryan Brotherhood. They are aligned or loosely aligned to this day. John went to the prison in the 70s. He killed somebody at Leavenworth. I thought in the 70s. What I'm going to read you says differently. But he would then go to Marion, where he would help start the commission, I guess, according to him, according to Gresner. And then ultimately, later in the 90s, he would go to ADX, the Supermax in Florence, Colorado, America's most secure federal prison, or Alcatraz of the Rockies, whatever they call it, where he would officially drop out, leave the game. I was told by a friend of mine, Gary, who was at ADX at the time, the reason John Greschner dropped out was because one day over the institutional channel, everybody had a TV in their cell, there was a memo that was put out that said all members of the Aryan Brotherhood and Mexican Mafia will be kept or placed or remain in ADX indefinitely. Prior to that memo coming out, I was told, they were doing a 5-year step-down program. That means they had to go to different levels before they were ultimately deemed good enough or well-behaved enough to go to maximum security prison or the United States penitentiaries. So that's what I was told. Now, I was doing stories about John Greschner. I have done several, and I did a video about John Greschner, audio from jail about Greschner. I don't even remember what I said. A couple weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. That letter in the mail said, and I will read it right now. Okay, Rob Rosso, I saw your video about Greschner, John Greschner. John went to jail when he was 17, and he is now in his 56th straight year in prison. He's 73 or 74. He's hiding out. Hiding out means in PC. So he's a federal prisoner. He's hiding out in Colorado State Prison, and he stands a chance next June of getting out. He's old law with 2 life sentences plus a lot of other consecutive term. That means he's parolable, old law. But for all the hoopla, he's only killed one person. Him and another dude ambushed a guy called Rhino in Leavenworth back in 84 or 85. Again, I thought it was the 70s. I could be wrong. He did it in front of the warden and the captain at Mainline. Let me be clear about this. What he did, even though it was a murder, would be considered in prison a check-in move. Now, if it was a murder, maybe not so much. When you get into a fight or you have an intent to go assault or even do worse to somebody, whether you want to unalive them, it is a no-no within the prison system to do it in front of staff. People even frown when something's done in the chow hall. So if you do an assault in the chow hall, the inmates or the prisoners might get pissed off. Sometimes because the warden could be so livid about something happening in the chow hall, he might lock the whole joint down. Now, why would a warden be livid? Because if something happens in a chow hall with all the inmates gathered together there's more chance of a riot or eruption happening that can then hurt officers and others. So first sight, looking at that, you would think, damn, it's a check and move. Now it sounds stupid because he killed somebody and he went to Marion and became a member of the Aryan Brotherhood and the commission and so forth. But John Greschner is said to be, okay, we'll get into that. John has a very big ego and he tried to usurp Barry Mills' position as head of the ABs. Again, I was told, I heard a little bit about this, but it wasn't put to me in that term. And I'll talk about the person who wrote this letter after. It didn't work, and he ended up in the hat. And the hat means that you are marked. You're marked for unaliving. He's been in the hat since the late 80s, but he didn't take the stand against anyone until 1999. Now, he just said he's been in the hat, so he's been wanted since the late 80s. I take issue with that. I think this is incorrect. As a matter of fact, it'll say later in the letter he went to the ADX. If he was in the hat, if they wanted him, if they wanted to unalive him, that is the members of the Aryan Brotherhood, why would they then let him go to ADX with them? He dropped out at ADX. Again, I know stories. I wasn't there and I have not saw the papers. And we'll get to papers in just a second. He snitched on Big Mac and Leavenworth about some drugs and the murder. I know about this case. It was an introduction case where something went wrong and they unalived the mule, the person bringing in the drugs. I've got all the paperwork. This person has all the paperwork. I've got over 100 pages of dirt on this fool, the fool being Gresner, okay? Including letters to SIS, lieutenants, letters to the U.S. attorneys, and their responses to him. That's big stuff, by the way. For somebody being in possession of this stuff, it's huge for reasons I'll get into. He tried to set people up, but it didn't work. He was in a tight spot in the ADX, and everyone knew he was there. Everyone knew he was a rat, and there was nowhere he can turn. Well, he turned to PC, but yeah, I got it. So he made up a bunch of lies about a bomb plot. But the shit was so frivolous that the police laughed at his bitch ass. He desperately wanted to be a tough guy, but it just didn't work out. Get in touch with me when you get out, and I'll email you all the paperwork I have. Okay, so John Greschner is a guy who spent very little time of his life as a member of the Aryan Brotherhood. We will give him that he was part of the commission, and that will go down in history. So John's name will ring on in infamy. It will. It absolutely will. There'll be people 200 years from now. There'll be pieces of paper flying or whatever happens 200 years. And they'll look at the founding of the Aryan Brotherhood in the federal system, and Greschner's name will be there. This guy has done a lot of interviews, BBC, major media outlets, and talks all about his time in the AB, does so fondly, and refers to himself as we, us, when he talks about the brand. In his mind, he is still a member of the Aryan Brotherhood. The guy thinks he has a chance of getting out one day and has aspirations of becoming like a counselor or consultant for gang life. He was in a gang in the 80s. Things have changed a lot. But he's got a lot of press and arguably was given a channel. And that's what I'll get to now. Felons Talk. There's a host there. His name's Mike. People have told me that's not his real name. I've heard people talk bad about him. That's not what I'm here for. Felons Talk. I first became aware of the channel Felons Talk when I got out of prison in January. So let's just call it February. And the host of the show, Mike, comes on my chat, says something. Okay, I go check out his channel. I then find out that this is the John Greschner channel. So he knows John Greschner, done a lot of interviews. Arguably, it would be the John Greschner channel. He started it that way, or a lot of views because of John Greschner, or Greschner, however you say it. And then one night, something happened. I was in the chat, I saw him, and some people in his chat were calling me a clown, and he agreed. That's not a very big deal to me. What it did do is it just like, okay, well, I'm not going to get this guy on or give him a plug or whatever. But let me tell you, I will tell people who've done bad videos about me to leave them up. I guess all publicity is good publicity, right? But also in that chat room that night, people were asking, hey, but isn't John a snitch? And Mike said, that's a touchy subject, man. I don't think he said we don't want to go there, but that's a touchy subject. Again, one of the biggest informers to come out of the federal ABs, John Greschner, has a platform on his channel. This is his friend. Yet the author of this very letter is none other than Mike from Felons Talk. This is not a sabotage on Mike. In fact, there's an email address here, and I wrote Mike telling him to contact me about this letter. 2 weeks ago, I think it started. And then on 2 different chats, I mentioned Felons Talk and Mike. That way, it can come up and you can go check. If you have a YouTube channel, you can check and see who's talked about you. And it'll say, I don't know if every time it comes up, but it'll say that somebody, and that's what I was getting his attention. That's why I put the full thing out there. So I've tried to contact Mike. I also contacted Eon, who I like from the show DC Blacks, because he does a lot of AB stuff. And I shared this letter with him. Now, Mike from Felons, I don't even know his last name. Whatever last names, apparently he's not giving his real name. People say so. I'm not going to get into the reasons why people say. It doesn't really matter to me. And I don't have a dislike. This is not a hit piece. This is what I want to say. I want to address Mike personally. Mike, I know in my heart that you have all that. This is you. That's not even a question. In fact, on one of my YouTube lives, you said, hey, I'm the guy who sent you the letter. Remember, we talked. This was a letter. You sent me the email. I sent you, not a friend request, a contact. So in federal prison, you have to reach out and you have to ask permission for this person to contact. They have to accept your permission and all this. We did that, Mike. And we talked about this. So it was you. This is what I need to say. You've got 100 pages on this, dude. 100 pages. Those 100 pages, the story is not John Greschner, informant, or rat. It needs to be put out there, number one, as part of criminal justice reform. There has been too much bullshit, hype, lying about the ABs and the mafia, okay? That is not to say that they can't unalive people, okay? I like to unalive for YouTube. I think it's too late. I won't get monetized. But Gresner, the media, what the media does, the mainstream media, they'll let people like Gresner talk, and he will talk about maybe bad things that others did or the brand did, but the media, what people are hearing is not the rat spilling the beans. They hear the ABs and this about the murders and this all this stuff. It keeps the myth, creates that legend, the myth keeps it all alive. When you have paperwork exposing that the member of the commission tried to say their people were plotting a bomb and lying, and SIS was laughing, and you've got responses back. This guy, this rat, trying to rat on everybody, and you show it. You get a real sense of what gang life and inside the gang life is. There can be content done on letters and get into stories about U.S. attorneys and how they use gang members and stuff like that, which people know, but it's a different thing when you can read it all back and forth. So Mike is sitting on a treasure trove, and I'm going to tell you, Mike, right now, John Greschner will find out. He'll find out about it 100%. I don't know if he's still with Roxanne, but his wife that he whatever. I'm not going to say that. It's not my business. He's going to find out. So if you don't want to put that information out, I would love to have all that. And again, it's not even about John Greschner. There's so many stories within those pages. You said he tried to usurp Barry Mills in here. Did I read all that? I did get all that. Yeah. And that's a story in itself. It puts more context on why this rat in a cage is, or it exposes what a lying scumbag he really is, like you said in here, like this lying fool. So, Gresner he only snitched on one person. He gave up the whole gig, gave up everybody, he only took the stand on one. So how many pled guilty because he was going to take the stand, first of all? And if you don't think, given the opportunity, he would take the stand against every single person, including his mother, brother, priest, everybody, that's not true. John Greschner is so minimal in the scheme of things, though, that they haven't even let him out of prison. You look at Mexican mafia informants that have something to say. What does Greschner have? He has memories from a jail cell for a short period of time. Although I will give him that the founding of the commission in the federal system is a big deal. If he really was on the commission, because I've only heard him say that, but I believe he was. And if he really was, that's a big deal. Like I said, that's going to go down in that'll go down in history. So, but other than that, which again is a big deal, he's talked a lot, practiced homosexual activity a lot. Things like this need to be put out, needs to be shown. It needs to be talked about that all three commissioners were homosexuals. To normal civilians, that doesn't sound like a big deal. Let that resonate for some years with white guys in federal prison and elsewhere. White gang, let that resonate. These guys, you've been hearing all these stories about Barry Mills, he was this and that, they were homosexuals. And yes, that activity was, I guess, normal or condoned back in the day. But it doesn't matter. It was such a problem, according to the Aryan Brothers, that they actually killed or unalived people that were homosexuals just for their practice. Well, there's a little bit more to it. But the fact is that the commission, the three were homosexuals. And I'm going to tell you something that would have devastated their reputation in the 90s and 2000s if people would have really, if you put that way, because that's what they would have been saying. Instead of saying Mills, oh, you mean that Gump? Even if he was not the bottom of a relationship with sexuals. Didn't matter. Pitch catch, it doesn't matter at that point. That's how people have been referring to those dudes. And those papers, well, John Greschner can never get away with trying to be the good guy anymore or trying to play like the guy who saved the Bureau of Prisons from the Aryan Brotherhood when those papers are out. So I will put them out for you, Mike, if you don't want to. But I will tell you, as a content creator, you should do it yourself. I don't know what you care, if you care about your channel, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying I don't know if you care about it as a business model and growth. The problem that you'll run into is that you have to find something else to do after Greschner. And but you have 100 pages of this dude, and I believe you do. So show the world once and for all the true meaning of John Greschner. Shine some light on Greschner and help criminal justice reform. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but there's truth into it. There's actual truth in that, man. And I will say, I don't care about informants. I don't care about dropouts. I don't care if somebody wants to cooperate. I don't care if somebody did. I care that they come out and get some exposure and are treated like they then lie about stuff or try to make plots up like fake bomb plot in order to get more attention, keep themselves in the media, or in this case, he tried to get away, get more protective custody, get more cheese. They used to get hemp, so he was fed. I know that John Greschner, through Mark Fitzu, another AB rat, they were giving cheeseburgers in ADX and some cigarettes not wine and cheeseburgers, to testify against the members of, or to give information up about the brim. Anyway, that's about it. Mike, nothing against you. I really did try to reach out. I'd rather have you on live and talk about it, to be honest. But ball's in your court. If you want to give me those papers, I'll love to put them out. I know Eon would too. You should be that guy. And I was going to shut the TV off. I got to go to bed later.